Dr. Helen Merrow squinted at the 11th cup of hyper-caffeinated espresso, shaking ominously in her trembling hands. The surface rippled with seismic intensity as her over-caffeinated body protested its life choices. The clock on First Contact Station Sigma's wall read 4:02 a.m. Standard Time, though concept like time had long lost meaning around cup number 8. Doctor. The station's AI chirped with an offensively cheerful synthetic voice. The Gorp Talk delegation will arrive in precisely 12 minutes. Helen groaned, her voice more croaked than speech. Can you just tell them I'm conducting critical xenobiological research? Technically true, if measuring the number of espresso shots required to experience astral projection counted as science. Doctor, may I remind you that you specifically requested to greet the delegation? You mentioned, and I quote, "No way those stuffy bureaucrats from Diplomatic Command are going to mess up another first contact." Helen winced, vaguely recalling her bravado-fueled rant from the previous caffeine cycle. Fine. I'm coming, but I'm bringing my coffee. The Glore ship docked with the grace of a species who mastered FTL travel so thoroughly they had started showing off. Their vessel, a vast golden oblong, practically sparkled as the airlock cycled open with a low whoosh, like the universe itself whispering, "Behold." Helen adjusted her wrinkled lab coat and attempted the facial expression of a not completely unhinged scientist as the delegation emerged. The Glordo were, in a word, majestic, towering amphibious beings with bioluminescent skin that shimmered like a sentient lava lamp. Each step they took was accompanied by a low, resonant hum. When they spoke, the translator rendered their voices in ethereal, melodic tones, like a choir of monks singing underwater. "A representative of Earth," Bedgoric said, extending a slimy, pulsating appendage in what appeared to be a gesture of formal greeting. "We come as emissaries of the Great Galactic Federation to evaluate your species for potential inclusion among the enlightened civilizations of the known universe." The translator's voice, as usual, rendered the magnificent speech in a flat monotone that completely butchered the grandeur. Helen opened her mouth to reply with diplomatic dignity, but, well, something happened. Maybe it was a sleep deprivation. Maybe it was a caffeine overdose. Maybe it was the sheer absurdity of an alien choir squid speaking through the world's worst customer service bot. She snorted loudly. The snort turned into a giggle. The giggle, fueled by 2 days of no sleep and 11 espressos, spiraled into full-blown, face-clutching, tear-streaming laughter. The Glordo recoiled with an audible slurp, their bioluminescence shifting from calming blue to alarm fuchsia as they exchanged rapid humming noises. The human one hissed. Their translator missed half the context. It is demonstrating dominance. Helen doubled over, trying and failing to suppress the laughter. The coffee sloshed dangerously near her face. No. I'm not demonstrating anything. Another giggle burst out. "Oh, God, your translator sounds like a telemarketer from hell." The Glorp Talk huddled together, shimmering in near-ultraviolet panic. "It mocks us while displaying unflinching eye contact," the lead ambassador whispered, horrified. "Such fearlessness and vocal aggression. It has no regard for its own safety." Helen wheezed. I'm not aggressive. It's just been a long..." Hiccup the coffee cup rattled as she hiccuped mid-sentence. The Glordo immediately flared ultraviolet, vibrating hard enough to set off a low-level proximity alarm on the station sensors. It deploys sonic weapons while laughing, the lead Glorp Talk whispered. "Quick, we must signal submission. Prepare the ceremonial glowing pebbles." "Wait, what?" Helen sputtered between giggles as the delegation all knelt, yes, knelt, and began placing iridescent stones in a neat pile before her. "Please, mighty human," the lead ambassador pleaded, "accept these tokens of peaceful respect. We surrender our superiority." Helen stared at the shimmering pile of pebbles, blinking. "Wait, no, guys, this is all a misunderstanding." The lead Glordo tilted his bulbous head, pulsating green with confusion. "Your people do not command respect through chaotic vocalizations? No, it's..." Hiccup more gasps from the delegation. "Oh, for cry out loud, I'm not..." Hiccup, she's deploying a secondary attack. At that moment, The station's AI decided to intervene helpfully. Doctor, the Gloro ship has just transmitted priority alert to the Galactic Council. Caution. Human species highly advanced, capable of vocalized psychic disruption. Possible mimetic warfare capabilities. Recommend immediate tribute. Helen slumped back against the wall, face paling. The Glorp talk recoiled. It strikes its own head in a display of unstoppable dominance. I need more coffee, she muttered. Doctor, Bay whispered, that might be contributing to... Shut up and start the espresso machine. Commander Frank Huxley was having what could generously be described as a career-defining crisis. The holographic projections of the Galactic Federation's diplomatic corps flicker around him in a rainbow of bioluminescent hues, gelatinous orbs, crackling energy constructs, all of them currently vibrating with the universal sign of sheer, unfiltered panic. Let me get this straight, Huxley said, pinching the bridge of his nose so hard it was turning white. The entire Galactic Federation is in uproar because one of our scientists laughed at a tentacled diplomat. CLTHRCKS of the Glorp Talk delegation retracted his pulsating appendages and shuddered. Not just laughed. She maintained direct eye contact while doing so, and then she began emitting sonic pulses, weaponized hiccups. Commander Huxley stared. Hiccups? Psychic shrieks of power. Bijor insisted gravely. I see, Huxley said, though he did not, in fact, see. A crystalline being from the Zern Collective interjected, their facets flashing purple with what seemed to be some kind of stress Morse code. And this was followed by the sacred ritual of stone dominance, which we understand humans perform to signal the vanquishing of a rival civilization. Huxley blinked. You mean when you guys piled rocks at her feet? The pebble offering, yes. That was not dominance. She was just confused. She wasn't trying to conquer you. She was overtired and caffeinated beyond human safety standards. The Zern's facet shifted to a deadly red hue. She consumed a volatile stimulant? Oh, for its coffee. Huxley gestured to his own mug. We drink it to stay awake. It's perfectly normal. CLTHRCKS turned a subtle bioluminescent green. You voluntarily consume liquid toxins to remain conscious? It's not toxic. Huxley shouted, waving the cup. A ripple of psychic alarm passed through the assembly as several holograms flickered in what Huxley could only interpret as protective shielding. He's holding a toxic stimulant in his hand right now, whispered a gaseous entity. Is he threatening us? No, I'm not. Huxley clenched his jaw. He was losing control fast. Listen, humans have a perfectly safe biological tolerance for caffeine. It's just a mild. The Zern emissary's facet clicked into a shade of pale blue, which Huxley was beginning to recognize as, I need therapy after this meeting. Your species can process toxic chemicals for pleasure? Huxley took a slow breath. It's a mild stimulant. We also eat spicy food, if you want to be horrified about that too. The assembly went silent, dead silent. A silence so profound Huxley could hear the hum of the station's oxygen scrubbers. Then, the Petrock ambassador, a sentient gas cloud, finally spoke with a voice like steam leaking from a pressure valve. Commander Huxley, did you just admit that your species intentionally consumes chemical irritants? Oh, yes. It's called seasoning. We like how it tastes. It's not a threat. You find pain delicious? Huxley slammed his face into his desk. It's not pain, it's flavor. The entire assembly visibly recoiled, even the beings that didn't technically have bodies. CLTHRCKS twitched nervously, leaning toward the crystalline ambassador. I told you, they consume poison for pleasure. A floating bioluminescent orb in the corner, apparently the Federation's historian, whispered, I have reviewed their ancient texts. They call it hot wings. CLTHRCKS gasped. Their warriors eat the wings of birds? No birds are harmed. It's a snack. Look, you're focusing on the wrong things here. The Zern delegate's facet sparked what could only be described as pure existential dread. You misunderstand, Commander. We intercepted a culinary instructional video from your networks. They coat the food in a compound they call ghost pepper sauce. The entire assembly shuddered in unison. Huxley exhaled slowly, mentally calculating if faking his own death could get him out of this meeting. Okay, let's just reset. Earth is not a threat. We are not a warlike species. Dr. Merrill's laughter was not a battle cry. We're not psychic weapons. We drink coffee because we get tired, and we eat spicy food because we have complex taste preferences. None of this is hostile behavior. The silence was broken by a smaller, wispier voice from the back. But what about the war games? Huxley blinked. The what? A holographic projection lit up in the center of the chamber. It was footage of the station's last paintball tournament. On the screen, Dr. Merrill, clad in full tactical gear, sprinted across a makeshift battlefield, dual-wielding paintball guns and laughing maniacally as she pelted Commander Huxley's squad with neon green paint. Someone had edited dramatic orchestral music over the footage, making it look far worse than reality. You train your civilians for combat scenarios, the Zern gasped. That's paint. It's a game. It washes out. Nobody got hurt. The Petrock cloud crackled with audible anxiety. You train for battle for leisure? A second clip began playing. The station's Halloween party. Someone had captured footage of a junior officer in a zombie costume chasing a screaming engineer. They simulate the undead as part of their training exercises. Okay, that's just a costume. And here, the Zern added grimly, flashing more footage. It was of the monthly karaoke night. Huxley, microphone in hand, clearly singing Bohemian Rhapsody at a volume that defied both musical talent and sanity. They possessed sonic attack rituals, the Glore ambassador whispered. Huxley, his last shred of professional dignity incinerated, whispered back, "That's Freddie Mercury." But the council wasn't listening. CLTHRCKS waved his tendrils gravely. "Commander, we will require time to process this. But understand, the Federation is prepared to offer substantial tribute to ensure Earth's continued restraint." Restraint. The holograms began to wink out one by one, leaving Huxley staring at his reflection in the blank screen. Finally, his assistant Jenkins poked his head in. "Sir, the Glordo just transmitted a shipment of platinum bars as a gesture of respect. Also, the Zoner Empire wants to send a ceremonial moon." "A moon? What the hell am I supposed to do with a moon?" Jenkins shrugged. "Maybe convert it into a ski resort? You know how humans keep doing that to random planets." Huxley buried his face in his hands. Somewhere, he was sure Dr. Merrill was on her fifth espresso, totally oblivious that she'd apparently just conquered a galaxy through poor sleep habits and caffeine addiction. Dr. Helen Merrill stared in confused horror at the rapidly expanding mountain of tribute accumulating in the docking bay of First Contact Station Sigma. Crates of rare minerals, strange glowing artifacts, entire barrels labeled liquid essence of galactic harmony, which, upon closer examination, turned out to be some sort of fermented starfruit liquor so potent the scent alone could cause mild hallucinations. Aliens bustled in and out, carefully unloading yet another pallet of shimmering crystalline orbs that, according to Zern, were symbols of unyielding respect. Helen prodded one of the orbs with her foot. It made a soft chiming sound and vibrated gently, as though vaguely impressed with her presence. "What the actual hell is happening here?" she muttered, still clutching her ever-present mug of espresso like a lifeline to reality. The station AI-AL artificial liaison chimed in with its usual upbeat tone. "Doctor, the Federation appears to have reclassified humanity as a Class X apex civilization." Helen blinked. "Class X? That sounds important." "Indeed. The designation indicates a species so dangerous, unpredictable, and biologically extreme that all diplomatic efforts must be accompanied by substantial tribute to avoid provocation." She squinted. "We got upgraded from Class W, potential Omega-level species, to Class X apex civilization?" "That is correct. Congratulations, Doctor. You have personally demonstrated sufficient terror-inducing behaviors to elevate your entire species' galactic standing." Helen's coffee cup trembled slightly in her hand. I didn't do anything." I laughed, and I had the hiccups, and her voice trailed off as a group of Glorp Talk, those gelatinous squid-salamander hybrids who started this whole mess, carefully placed what appeared to be a platinum statue of a human holding a coffee cup atop the growing pile of tribute. The statue was life-sized. "Doctor," Elle whispered, "it appears to be modeled after you." Helen nearly dropped her mug. "Is that me? Did they give me abs?" "I don't have abs." It seems they assumed. Also, the inscription reads, "The unyielding warrior of caffeine." There were no words. Helen just stared, her sleep-deprived brain unable to process the sheer absurdity unfolding before her. Finally, after a full 20 seconds of dead silence, she whispered, "Fetch Commander Huxley. Now." The commander arrived 5 minutes later, his uniform somehow managing to look both professional and deeply rumpled, which seemed appropriate considering the galaxy had apparently lost its collective mind. "Marrow," he grunted, stopping short as his eyes swept over the tribute mountain. His gaze landed on the platinum statue. "What is that?" She pinched the bridge of her nose. "A gift. Apparently, I'm some kind of galactic caffeine warlord now." Huxley squinted at the inscription. "Unyielding warrior of—" "Oh, for the love of Marrow, how did laughing get us here?" Helen threw her arms out. "I know. Do you think I meant to terrify an entire federation of spacefaring civilizations? I had the hiccups." "Hiccups?" Huxley stared. "They think hiccups are a sonic weapon." A silence hung between them, filled only by the distant sound of another crate being carefully lowered by the Zern delegation. This one appeared to contain some kind of glowing space harp. A small gelatinous diplomat was now holding a datapad with the words, "The Grand Serenade of Peace," translated on its surface. Helen squinted. "Why is there a harp?" "Apparently, the Zern think you can summon orbital devastations by vibrating your vocal cords, and they're hoping that a gift of this, whatever that thing is, will appease you." Helen opened her mouth to protest, then froze as a horrifying thought struck her. "Oh no!" Huxley arched an eyebrow. "Oh no, what?" She took a shaky sip of coffee, which, in retrospect, only seemed to make the problem worse. "Huxley, have they seen Karaoke Night?" Huxley blanched. "Oh, God." "Exactly." Suddenly, the station communication system chirped. "Incoming priority transmission from the Galactic Federation Central Command." Both of them stiffened as the central holographic projector lit up with the image of a being who seemed to be composed entirely of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix. Vorkay, the High Chancellor of the Galactic Federation. Human Commander Huxley. Vor's voice vibrated like an entire choir performing a funeral dirge in slow motion. "We wish to commend your civilization's magnificent restraint. Truly, your kind has honored us with patience beyond mortal understanding." Helen exchanged a look with Huxley, both of them doing their best poker face impression. Thank you, Your Excellency," Huxley said carefully. "It has come to our attention that your species has a recreational event known as paintball." Helen winced. The Chancellor continued, crystalline facets dimming in what looked like interstellar dread. "We understand it involves your civilians engaging in tactical combat while drenched in brightly colored fluids." Huxley cleared his throat. "Yes, but it's just a game. No one actually gets hurt. It's a team-building exercise." The Chancellor pulsed dangerously. "Ah, yes. The concept of simulating the suffering of one's enemies as a bonding ritual. Fascinating." "Okay, that makes it sound way worse than it actually is," Helen whispered under her breath. "And the small quadrupeds." "Small what now?" A video began playing on the holographic projector. Security footage of Mittens, the station's aggressively adorable orange tabby, knocking a mug off Huxley's desk while maintaining unblinking eye contact. "You have trained your miniature predator beast to perform acts of psychological warfare." Huxley paled. "It's a cat. That's just what cats do. They knock stuff over. Such control over feral creatures. Truly, your species is the stuff of legends." Vor KS facets flickered. "The Galactic Council has convened and determined that your species shall be upgraded to Class X Apex Civilization, subcategory, Existential Menace. Please accept these humble tributes as a sign of our continued cooperation and mutual respect." The transmission ended abruptly. Helen and Huxley just stood there, processing the madness for a long moment as a final crate was delivered by a Zorian ambassador. The label simply read, "Emergency Moon. Gift of peace. After an excruciating pause, Huxley whispered, "We got a moon." Helen took a long, trembling sip of her coffee. "We need to hold a staff meeting before someone shows them our Halloween party." Huxley nodded grimly. "And karaoke night is canceled, effective immediately." From somewhere in the docking bay, a group of diplomats gasped. Helen looked up just in time to see a gelatinous diplomat whisper to another, "They have banned their sonic war rituals. The humans truly are merciful." Helen slumped onto a crate. "We're all going to die of embarrassment." The Galactic Federation's emergency summit was already entering its 16th consecutive hour of sheer, undiluted panic. Holographic diplomats flickered in and out of visibility as species from every corner of the known universe tried, and catastrophically failed, to make sense of humanity's latest actions. "The humans have ceased their tactical combat drills," intoned Vorkay, the crystalline chancellor of the Federation, his energy form dimming slightly as he addressed the assembly. "They have canceled their sonic warfare rituals as well. This is a concerning escalation." An aquatic ambassador from the Bleth homeworld burbled anxiously, tentacles fidgeting in complex knots. Surely that means they are preparing for something worse." A gelatinous diplomat from the Zoran, Accord, wobbled dangerously as it spoke. "They canceled their karaoke. No species ceases a morale-boosting event without reason. They must be gathering their strength for the final conquest." A spindly arachnid ambassador from the Tash leaned forward, 8 eyes wide, added, "Perhaps it is a prelude to their ultimate weapon, the one they call brunch." The entire assembly collectively shuddered as holographic footage played on the central screen. Humans gathered around a table pile high with eggs, bacon, coffee, and mimosas, casually laughing and making unbroken eye contact. The ambassador's voice trembled. "They consume alcohol before midday and still function." "They do not function," the Glorp Talk delegate whispered. "They thrive." A sharp chime echoed through the council chamber as a new message flashed across the main display. The ominous message read, "Priority alert. Class X civilization transmission incoming. Source, humanity." The entire council tensed. The last communication from Earth had been a polite but chillingly blunt request to please stop sending us moons. "We're running out of storage space." The screen flared to life. Commander Frank Huxley and Dr. Helen Marrow stood in the center of the frame. Huxley was holding a cup of coffee. Helen looked halfway between frazzled and homicidal, clutching an absurdly large mug with "Don't talk to me until I've conquered the galaxy" emblazoned on the side. "Greetings, honored members of the Galactic Federation," Huxley began, speaking with forced calm while subtly nudging a squirming orange tabby off the desk. Mittens blinked into the camera with haunting judgment before vanishing from view. The assembly collectively held its breath. "We've received your generous tributes," Huxley continued, his eye visibly twitching. "And, we need to clarify some things before you send us any more planetary bodies." Helen cut in, her voice slightly shrill from exhaustion and an overdose of espresso. "Yes, for starters, we're not preparing for war. We canceled karaoke because someone," she shot a glare at Huxley, "decided the galactic dignitaries couldn't handle the emotional devastation of our rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody." "There were casualties last time," Huxley muttered under his breath. "No one died." Helen snapped. "Just mild emotional scarring. And maybe a nosebleed. The point is," she jabbed a finger at the camera, "you guys are really overthinking all of this. The paintball thing? Not combat drills. The coffee? Not a toxin. The cats? Not battle beasts." Vorkay's crystalline form pulsed with deep red skepticism. "But you willingly suppress your own sleep cycles." "Yes," Helen said, exasperated. "It's called being tired. We like coffee. It keeps us awake." The Glorp Talk raised a tentacle. "And the ghost pepper sauce?" Helen sighed deeply, pinching the bridge of her nose. It's a spicy food. It's just for taste. No biological warfare involved. We choose to eat it because we find it delicious." A petrified silence followed. Vor's facets flickered. "You choose to consume chemical pain for pleasure?" Helen blinked. "Oh my God!" You do realize we also pay for it, right? We buy bottles of it. We even have competitions where we see who can endure the most spice. The Tashleen ambassador fainted. The assembly dissolved into a quiet chaos of horrified murmurs. Huxley face-bombed. Look, everyone, you're misunderstanding everything. We're not warlords. We're just weird, okay? We do strange things sometimes, like jump into freezing water for fun, or run races where people throw paint at each other, or eat fermented fish that smells like chemical warfare but somehow tastes worse. The assembly flinched as one. Helen gestured furiously at the camera. We do these things because they're fun. And just because we have questionable taste in entertainment doesn't mean we're invading the galaxy. Vor hesitated. You truly claim all this as recreational activity? Yes, Huxley said, holding up his mug. This is not a weapon. It's coffee. We're just a little weird, okay? The Galactic Federation diplomats confer quietly, emitting various pulses of light, squelching noises, and what sounded suspiciously like psychic whispering. Finally, the Zern representative spoke cautiously. And the moons? Helen blinked. Why do you keep sending us moons? Vor's voice resonated with what could only be described as existential dread. They were offerings to appease your dominance. Helen put her head in her hands. We don't want your moons. But you accepted them. I thought they were, I don't know, decorative space art or something. Helen snapped, waving her mug wildly. Vor's glow dimmed to a shade of uneasy gray. You accept planetary bodies as casual decoration? Huxley opened his mouth, paused, then closed it with a sigh. Okay, you know what? Let's make this easier. No more moons. No more glowing rocks. No more psychic harps, or whatever that last thing was. It was a quantum flute of harmony. Vorke mumbled defensively. Right. No more of that either. Huxley rubbed his temples. Look, we appreciate the gifts, but you don't need to fear us. I promise we're harmless. The diplomats visibly relaxed. Some of them began dissipating into their natural plasma states. The Tashleen delegate stopped hyperventilating. Helen took a deep breath. Now, with that out of the way, can we... The screen flickered as AL's voice chimed in. Doctor, I regret to inform you that footage from the recent hot wing eating challenge has just been uploaded to the Galactic Data Network. The feed cut to a slow-motion clip of Helen herself mid-bite, face flushed, eyes watering, giving a triumphant thumbs up while her mouth was visibly on fire. Vor's facets dimmed instantly. Asterisk. They consume lava. The screen cut out. A new alert pinged. New classification. Class X apex species. Omnivorous death culture. All tribute resumed immediately. Helen groaned into her hands. I'm going to need more coffee.